Rain poured over the silent city. Neon lights flickered. Cold wind passed through empty streets. People hurried home, hiding under coats and umbrellas. But one man walked slowly, holding a hot cup of tea in his hand. His name was Daniel. He was human, alone. A repairman who fixed machines and lived in a small apartment on the edge of New Nova City. That night, he didn't expect anything strange, but something strange waited for him in the alley behind his building. As he passed by the dumpster, he heard a sound, soft, like a whimper. He stopped, listened, then he heard it again, a cry. Faint, like someone trying not to be heard. Daniel stepped into the alley. He pushed aside a broken crate, and that's when he saw her. A small alien girl, no older than 8 or 9, curled up beside the trash. Her skin was soft violet. Her hair was long and silver. Her clothes were torn and wet. One leg was badly hurt, bleeding. Her big eyes looked up at him full of fear. Daniel froze. The girl tried to speak but only gasped in pain. She wasn't dangerous. She was scared. Without thinking, Daniel knelt down. Hey, it's okay, he said gently. The girl flinched at first, but his calm voice made her relax. You're hurt. Can I help you? She didn't answer with words. She just nodded once, very slowly. Daniel took off his jacket and wrapped it around her. He carefully lifted her in his arms. She was light, so light it made his chest hurt. Let's get you warm. Back in his apartment, he turned on the heater and found an old towel. He dried her hair, then wrapped a blanket around her small frame. She sat on the couch, watching him closely, but quietly. Daniel warmed some soup. He gave her a spoon. She didn't know how to use it at first, but learned fast. She ate like she hadn't eaten in days. What's your name? He asked softly. She didn't speak. He pointed to himself. Daniel. Then to her. She stayed quiet. Finally, she touched her chest and said, Leary. Her voice was soft, almost a whisper. Daniel smiled. Leary, that's a beautiful name. He checked her leg. The cut wasn't deep, but it was dirty. He cleaned it with care. She didn't cry, not even once. Tough little thing. Where are your parents? He asked. Leary looked down. Her lips trembled. I ran. From what? She didn't answer, but her silence was louder than words. Daniel didn't push her. She had secrets, painful ones, and tonight was not the time for questions. He made her a small bed on the couch. She curled up, still wrapped in the blanket. Before sleeping, she looked at him and said, Thank you. Daniel paused, then smiled. You're safe here. That night he barely slept. He kept thinking about the little girl. Why was she alone? Who hurt her? And then, would someone come looking for her? But when morning came, Daniel walked to the couch, and Leary was gone. He ran to the alley. No sign, no blanket, no jacket, nothing. It was like she had vanished into thin air. Daniel stood in the rain, heart sinking. Was she just a dream? A lost soul passing through? He felt something heavy in his chest. Maybe he should have asked more. Maybe he should have made her stay, but it was too late now. 2 days passed. Daniel couldn't forget her. He kept checking the alley, hoping. But Leary never came back until the 3rd day, when someone knocked on his door. He opened it and froze. Leary stood there, her hand holding a taller woman's fingers. The woman was alien like her, but grown, beautiful, regal, long hair, bright eyes, wearing a cloak of starlight silver. She looked Daniel straight in the eyes. Then she did something no one expected. She dropped to her knees and said, Please, marry me. Daniel's jaw dropped. What? The woman's voice shook. You saved my daughter. Now I must give you everything. Leary hid behind her mother, peeking out with a tiny smile. The woman looked up. There is no time. You must say yes, or my child will be taken from me forever. Daniel blinked. The woman was still on her knees, rain dripping from her cloak. Her silver eyes stared up at him full of fear and urgency. I don't understand, he said slowly. Why would you? You don't even know me. She placed one hand over her heart and said softly, My name is Vena. I'm the mother of the child you saved. On my planet I owe you a life debt, but this is more than debt. She pulled Leary gently beside her. My daughter is marked now. She ran away. She met a human. That makes her tainted in the eyes of the elders. If I do not bond with you, in the next solar day they will take her away from me. Daniel's eyes darted between the mother and child. You're saying and they'll take her just because she came to me? Yes. They already sent the notice. Our law is cruel. Leary looked down, ashamed. I just wanted food. I didn't mean to break anything. Daniel took a breath. He was just a mechanic, not a warrior, not a leader. This was far bigger than him. But marriage? He asked, again carefully. Isn't that a little fast? Vena looked up again, her face still calm but her voice breaking. It is not for love. It is for survival. He let them inside. Leary ran to the heater and sat close, warming her small hands. Daniel offered Vena a towel and a cup of tea. She took both with a polite nod. They sat down at the table. I don't want to trick you, she said. You don't have to care for me. You don't even have to live with us. I only ask for your signature. It will mark Leary as protected by a human bond. Then we'll leave. Daniel rubbed his face. I don't know your customs. I don't know your people. I don't know if this is real, or if someone's testing me. Vena nodded. I understand. Then she pulled out a silver tablet and placed it on the table. A red seal glowed on the screen. Here, she said. Proof. This is the notice from the Council of Elders. If I'm not bonded by tomorrow, they'll send enforcers. Leary will be placed into custody. Daniel stared at the document. It looked official, and it looked final. He glanced at Leary, who was quietly sipping soup again, trying not to cry. She looked so small, so fragile, yet she had survived alone in the cold, just to find food. Daniel's chest ached again. Finally he asked, Why me? Vena paused. Because when she came home and told me what happened, she said something strange. What? She said, he looked at me like I was a person, not a thing. Daniel blinked. Vena's voice grew softer. You didn't see her as a threat, you saw a child. That is rare in this galaxy. Daniel swallowed hard. He stood up and walked to the window. Outside, a patrol drone passed silently overhead. He thought of his quiet life, his lonely tools, his silent evenings. Then he thought of the girl behind him, and the woman with pleading eyes. Okay, he said at last. Vena looked up. I'll sign it, but only if we do it together. Not a trick, not just words. Her eyes widened. You mean a true bond? He nodded. You said it's not about love, but if we do this, I don't want it to be a lie either. Let's protect her together. A silence followed. Then Vena stood slowly. She walked to him, and she bowed, deep and formal. Then I vow to honor you, not just as a name, but as my shield. Daniel nodded, heart heavy but sure. They would face this together. But from across the city, something dark watched through an unseen lens. A voice whispered into a hidden calm. The widow has made contact. The child is still with her. And the human has agreed. Begin phase 2. Prepare the retrieval team. That night, the stars above New Nova City turned red. Daniel didn't know what it meant at first, but Vena did. She stared out his window, her face pale. Her silver hair shimmered in the glow. It started, she whispered. Daniel stood beside her. What has? Vena closed her eyes. The crimson star has risen. That means the council's final order has begun. What does that mean for Leary? Vena turned toward him. It means, if they find us, they take her. No questions. No trial. The law was written before I was born. Long ago, my people believed that any child touched by humans became corrupted. We thought bonding with humans was weakness. Daniel shook his head. But she's just a kid. She didn't do anything wrong. Vena nodded. That doesn't matter to them. She left our home. She made her own choice. Now they want to erase that choice. Forever. Leary sat quietly on the floor, holding a glowing toy Daniel had built from spare parts. Her small hands turned the gears slowly. She looked up at them and asked, "Will I have to go back?" Vena knelt beside her. "Not if I can stop it." Daniel looked at the two of them, alien, strange, yet somehow more human than most people he'd met. "Then let's stop it," he said. Together. They began to prepare. Daniel sealed his apartment with old military tech he'd salvaged years ago. Electric locks, smoke disruptors, hidden motion traps. Vena taught him about the elders' hunters called collectors. They didn't speak. They wore black armor, and they never came alone. They erase records, she said, and leave no trace behind. Daniel frowned. Sounds like assassins. They are, she said coldly, dressed as law. Hours passed. Daniel kept glancing out the window. Then, it happened. The sky outside dimmed unnaturally. Shadows moved where no one stood. The city's noise faded into silence, and a black transport ship appeared above the alley. No lights, no sirens, Daniel said. They're coming quiet. Vena nodded. Collectors always do. She grabbed Leary's hand. Go to the back room, stay hidden. Daniel handed her a small communicator. If anything happens, call me, no matter what. They waited in the dark apartment. Every sound made Daniel's heart race. Then, a sharp knock at the door. 3 times. Hard. Daniel stayed silent. Then a voice came through the door. Cold. Robotic. By order of the Council of Elders, the child, Learyson, is to be taken into custody. Resistance will result in punishment. Daniel took a deep breath. He walked to the door and opened it just enough to speak. She's not here. The collector's glowing red visor stared at him. We know she is. She's under my protection. I bonded with her mother. Illegally, the voice replied. Not on Earth, Daniel snapped. Here, that bond is legal, recognized. You have no power here. The collector didn't move, didn't blink. Then he said, Earth's protection ends at sunrise. The door shut again. Daniel turned to Vena. We have hours, she nodded. We use them well. While Leary stayed hidden, Daniel and Vena worked through the night. They formed a plan. They would not run. They would stand. They would record a message, proof of the collector's threats, proof of the danger. They would send it to the Interplanetary Rights Council. We shine light on their darkness, Daniel said. And if they come before sunrise? Vena asked. He looked her in the eyes. Then they learn what it means to cross a human. But even as they spoke, the collectors moved silently toward the building. One by one, they surrounded the door. One of them raised a hand, fingers glowing. Inside, Leary heard a high-pitched sound, like a whisper in her mind. She clutched her toy and covered her ears. Then the sound grew louder, like it wanted to pull her. Mom! She screamed. Vena ran. Daniel followed. Leary stood frozen in the hallway, her eyes glowing faintly. What's happening to her? Daniel shouted. Vena's voice trembled. They're triggering her bloodline, her gift. What gift? She's half royal, and half something older. Daniel reached out, and the moment he touched her, the light vanished. Leary blinked. The whispering stopped. And outside, the collectors paused. One of them turned to the others. She's begun the awakening. The human's contact has changed her. We must retreat for now. They vanished into the fog. The transport lifted. Silent as it came, Daniel fell to his knees. Vena hugged Leary tight, and in that quiet moment, they realized the law of the Crimson Star wasn't just about punishment. It was about fear. Fear of a child who might change everything. Rain fell, again. It always seemed to fall when something changed. Daniel stood in front of the mirror, brushing dust off the strange silver robes Vena gave him. "You sure this is necessary?" he asked. Vena stood behind him, silent, her eyes calm. "This is the only way the bond becomes true in the eyes of the old code, a soul binding done with witness. Even if the witness is only the sky." Daniel gave a nervous smile. "You aliens really love tradition." Vena didn't smile back. "This is not for love," she reminded him. "This is for protection." But she looked away. "I'm grateful. I didn't expect kindness from a human. Not like this." They didn't have a temple, no crowd, no music. Just the rooftop of his small apartment. The stars were hidden behind clouds. The wind was cold, but it was quiet, and maybe that was enough. Leary stood beside them, holding a small ring of lights Daniel had built from scrap. She smiled proudly, though her eyes still looked tired. Vena raised her right hand and said in her language softly, "By the breath of the stars and the silence of the dark, I share my life, my risk, and my name." Daniel repeated after her, slowly, awkwardly. "I share my life, my risk and name." She placed a glowing band on his hand. It tightened like warm light around his finger. He placed a similar one on hers. For a moment, nothing happened. Then the rings blinked together in one gentle glow. Bond complete. But something strange followed. When their hands touched, Daniel felt a sudden heat in his chest. Images, flashes, Vena's memories rushing into him, pain, hunger, running through fire with Leary in her arms, men screaming, her people judging her. Then peace. The moment she saw Leary sleeping safe in Daniel's apartment, he gasped and pulled away. "What was that?" Vena looked surprised. "You felt it?" "I saw your life." "That's not normal," she whispered. "Human minds shouldn't connect like that." Daniel looked down at the ring. It still glowed. They went back inside. But everything had changed, not just the rings. The ship above the city, the one that had left, was back. This time, it stayed farther away, watching like a silent moon. The next day, Daniel stepped outside to buy food. People stared at him. Some nodded. Others looked away. One shopkeeper whispered, "You're the one who married the alien widow, right?" Daniel tensed. "How do you know that?" "It's on the planetary network. Someone leaked it. The council. They issued a bounty." Daniel's blood ran cold. "How much?" 50,000 units. Dead or alive. For both of you." Back home, Vena was already packing. "We must leave," she said. "They won't stop now." Daniel shook his head. "No. Running is what they expect. We hide." He took her and Leary to an old warehouse, one of the first buildings he ever repaired. No one came here anymore. It was cold, dusty, and forgotten. Perfect. Daniel set up solar panels, small heaters, food processors. Vena created energy shields made from her world's tech. Leary helped, placing small crystals in corners like a child building a secret castle. At night, they sat around a fake campfire made of orange lights and a warm breeze fan. Daniel looked at them, these strange visitors who now felt like family. "Is this marriage fake to you?" he asked softly. Vena didn't answer right away. Then she said, "It was meant to be." "And now?" She turned to him, her voice quiet. "Now, it feels real. But peace never lasts." One night, Leary screamed in her sleep. Daniel rushed to her side. Her skin glowed again. Her body trembled. "She's overheating," he said. Is she sick? Vena held her. No, it's the bond. Our link. She feels what I feel now, the fear, the pressure, even my confusion. Daniel knelt. Then I'll take some of that weight, whatever this bond is, and I'll carry it too. He held Leary's hand, and again the ring glowed, but this time it spread. A light filled the whole warehouse, soft, golden, and powerful. The next morning, the skyship sent a signal. Subject shows energy burst, mutation confirmed, child must be extracted immediately, and far away new warriors were prepared, not collectors, not bounty hunters, but something worse. The council's enforcers. Thunder rolled above the old warehouse. The light that had burst from Daniel, Vena, and Leary's bond still echoed in the walls. The air felt strange, warmer, alive. Leary slept peacefully now. For the first time in days, her little face looked calm. But Vena paced back and forth, her long cloak brushing the dusty floor. Daniel sat beside a small machine he had just built, a signal jammer. He twisted wires and stared at her. You feel it too, right? He asked. Vena stopped. Yes. Their eyes are back on us. Worse, she said. They're not just watching, they're waiting. At dawn, a message arrived. A box, smooth, black, placed right outside their hidden entrance. Daniel found it first. It didn't beep, didn't tick, but it felt cold in his hands. He carried it inside. Vena froze the moment she saw it. No, she whispered. She ran forward and knocked it out of his hands. It hit the floor and cracked open. Inside was a white crystal, and a hologram lit up the room. A figure appeared. Tall, dressed in a dark robe. His face was hidden behind a silver mask. He spoke in a cold, flat voice. To the human Daniel of Earth and the outlaw Vena of Varnic, your unauthorized bond is rejected by the High Council. Your daughter is claimed under Law 73 of the Crimson Star. Surrender the child within 24 hours. This is your only warning. Then the crystal turned black and shattered. Daniel picked up the pieces, so that's the council. Vena stood still. Her face was pale. That was Seer Mask Zeril, the judge of life and death. If he has spoken, they are serious. Daniel placed a hand on her shoulder. Then we get serious too. He didn't sleep that night. He fixed the shields, doubled the traps, modified every drone and camera. Vena trained Leary with hand signals and basic hiding drills. But inside, Daniel wondered, how long could they survive like this? He looked at the glowing bond ring on his finger. Every time he thought of backing out, he saw Leary's little smile. And he stayed. By the next morning, Daniel had an idea. We need proof, he said. We need to show what they're doing, that they're hunting a child, not a threat. Vena raised an eyebrow. How? He tapped his forehead. With memories. He connected a small cord to his old data chip. You said I felt your past. When we bonded. Maybe we can record it now. Vena hesitated. That means you'll see everything. I already have, he said gently. But others need to see it too. Together they sat, side by side. Vena closed her eyes. Daniel activated the chip, and suddenly, her memories flowed. A court of angry faces. Vena screaming, holding a baby. As people threw stones at her. A cold room. Her husband dying. Blood on metal. Then, running, hiding, starving, carrying Leary in a sack. The moment she reached Earth. The moment she watched her daughter vanish into the cold night. And the moment she found her again safe in Daniel's home. The memory file was full. Daniel wiped his face. He didn't realize he had cried. He looked at Vena. She wasn't crying, but her hands trembled. Now, he said. We send this to someone who still cares about justice. He opened a channel to the Galactic Child Protection Alliance, a risky move. They answered after 5 minutes. A woman with short hair and gold eyes appeared on the screen. I'm Agent Sora. Speak. Daniel showed her the memory file. told her everything, the hiding, the bounty, the warning crystal. She listened quietly, then said, "We'll investigate. But the council, they are powerful." "I don't care," Daniel said. "Just promise me you'll try." Sora nodded. "I'll do more than that. I'm coming in person." Then the screen went black. But someone else had also seen the transmission. Zeril. Inside his black ship, the masked judge turned to his guards. "The human. Made contact with off-world allies. Send the enforcers. Bring the child. Destroy everything else." Back in the warehouse, the bond ring on Daniel's hand blinked 3 times. Fast. Vena looked up. "They're close." "How close?" She listened to the air, then said, "They're already here." Daniel grabbed Leary. Vena packed the memory. Chip. Lights outside turned red and shadows moved. Not bounty hunters, not drones, but enforcers, taller than humans. Armor black as space. No faces, no mercy. Daniel backed up. "We're not ready for this." Vena grabbed his hand. "Then we survive. Together." As the walls shook with the first hit, Daniel whispered to Leary, "Stay brave. We are family now." And her tiny voice replied, "I won't run this time." The first explosion shook the warehouse like thunder from inside the walls. Dust fell from the ceiling. The light panels flickered. Leary screamed as sparks danced across the metal floor. Daniel grabbed her and pulled her into his arms. "Hold on. Don't let go." Vena stood at the edge of the room, her back to them, hands glowing with pale blue light. A shimmering wall of energy formed in front of the door. It was thin, but it held. For now. "They're not stopping," she shouted. "These aren't normal hunters." Daniel peeked through a broken panel. Outside, the enforcers moved. Like shadows, tall, smooth, no faces, no voices. Just glowing red lines across their armor. And weapons that hissed like snakes. "They're trying to corner us," Daniel said. "Like hunters with prey." "They don't want to kill," Vena replied. "They want to erase." He ran to his workbench and ripped the cover off an old crate. Inside was a device he hadn't finished. A jump spike. An emergency teleport system. Illegal on most planets. Vena's eyes widened. "That could tear us apart if it fails." Daniel smiled nervously. "Or it could buy us 5 minutes to run." Another blast hit the shield. It cracked like ice. Leary sobbed, clutching Daniel's sleeve. "I don't want to go with them." "You won't," he said, voice steady. "Not while I'm breathing." Vena helped him power the device. The charge built fast, buzzing louder and louder. "We only get one jump," Daniel warned. "No second try." "Where does it go?" she asked. He shrugged. "Anywhere but here." The shield shattered. A black enforcer stepped through the smoke. Silent. Huge. It raised a glowing staff. Vena jumped forward, slamming her palm into the ground. A blast of blue fire erupted upward, knocking the enforcer back through the wall. Daniel hit the button. The jump spike screamed, and everything went white. When the light faded, they were on a hilltop. Cold wind blew. Snow drifted lightly. They looked around tall red trees. Quiet sky, no buildings, no drones, just silence. "We made it," Daniel said, panting. "Where are we?" Leary asked. Vena scanned the horizon. "This is the outer forest of the Forbidden Zone. No ships are allowed here. No signals, nothing can follow." Daniel set Leary down and hugged her tight. Then he looked at Vena. "You saved us back there." She shook her head. "We saved each other." They walked for hours. The forest felt alive. Strange lights moved between the trees, not threatening, just watching. Ancient. Curious. At last they found an old shelter, a collapsed research cabin, half buried in roots. They moved inside. It smelled like dust and old wood, but it was safe. For now. That night, Vena sat by the fire while Leary slept. Against Daniel's chest, her voice was quiet. I never expected to find this. Not on your world. What? He asked. Hope. Daniel chuckled. Neither did I. I was just a mechanic. I fixed things. I never thought I'd be protecting a child from galactic law. She looked at him. You could leave, you know. Walk away. Say you were forced. He shook his head. I don't abandon family. Vena stared at the flames, then whispered, Then maybe we are family now. But peace didn't last long. Far above, inside the Black Council ship, Seer Mask Zarel stood before a glowing screen. They escaped. The human used forbidden tech. The child's power is growing. His assistant asked, Shall we send more enforcers? Zarel said nothing, then raised his hand. No, this time I go myself. In the forest, Lyri's ring blinked. She opened her eyes. Mom? Vena rushed to her. What is it? Lyri sat up slowly and said in a whisper, He's coming. Vena froze. Who? Lyri looked at her with glowing eyes, the one in the mask. Snow fell silently in the forest. Daniel stood outside the broken cabin, fixing the broken solar heater with his frozen fingers. His breath came out in clouds. Behind him, inside the shelter, Lyri slept beside Vena, both exhausted after the jump and days of hiding. Then the snow stopped falling. No wind, no sound. Daniel looked up. Above the trees, something hovered. A black ship, smooth, silent, death. Inside, Lyri woke up gasping. He's here, she said. Vena sat up fast. Stay with me, do not move. Daniel burst through the door. They found us, it's him. Vena's face turned pale. Cyril. The judge. The trees parted like they were alive. Not crushed, just moved aside. A man walked toward them. Tall, dark, armor. No footsteps. His silver mask glowed in the middle, one red light blinking like a heart. Daniel stood in front of the cabin, unarmed. Vena stepped beside him. Cyril stopped 20 feet away. His voice came without sound, straight into their minds. The child does not belong to you. Daniel didn't move. She belongs to herself. She is born of royal blood. Her power must be controlled. Vena raised her hand. And that's your excuse to steal her? She is more than a child. Her bloodline connects to the ancient gate. If she awakens fully, the balance ends. Lyri stepped forward. She wasn't afraid. I don't want to hurt anyone, she said. Her voice was soft but clear. Cyril looked at her. You are already dangerous. Your bond with the human made you something new. Something unpredictable. Daniel clenched, his fists. Then let her choose. Let her decide who she wants to be. Cyril raised a hand. A black light formed in the air, cold, sharp, like a spinning blade. Daniel grabbed a metal rod from the ground and stood in front of Lyri. I won't let you touch her. The black light shot forward, but it didn't reach him. Lyri's eyes turned bright gold. She raised both hands, and the air bent. The light shattered. The ground cracked beneath Cyril, and for the first time, the judge stepped back. Vena gasped. Her power, it's not just from me. Daniel looked at her. Then from where? Lyri stepped forward. I don't know, but I know I'm not alone anymore. She held both her parents' hands, and a warm light spread out around them. Bright, gentle, but unbreakable. Cyril's mask flickered. You are bonded, he whispered. All three. A trilink. He stepped back again, shaken. This is forbidden. Daniel stared him down. Then go back and tell your council. Your fear doesn't own her anymore. Cyril looked at the girl once more, and for the first time, lowered his hand. If you cross a line, the stars will burn for it. But until then, Daniel said, we live free. Cyril turned. His ship descended quiet as a shadow. He vanished into it. The sky cleared, and the ship was gone. For a long time, no one spoke. Then Leary said, "Did we win?" Daniel smiled. "I don't think it's about winning," Vena added softly. "It's about being family, being free." They all looked up at the stars. The red one, the crimson star, was gone. Only peaceful light remained. Back in the cabin, Daniel began writing. He sent the story to the Galactic Alliance. He titled it, "The Mask Breaks: How a Child's Choice Changed Everything." And far, far away, inside the High Council chamber, Cyril stood silent. Another elder asked, "Why didn't you take her?" Cyril removed his silver mask slowly, and beneath it were tears. "She made me remember," he said, voice broken, "who I used to be, a scene before the law.